Hello, and thank you for joining me for another reading here on the House of Yami Ajay channel. My name is Bookie, and today I'll be offering up a collective oracle and tarot card reading. Whenever this reading finds you is when you're meant to receive it. The themes and insights will be decided through the initial oracle card pull. I'll be pulling from 3 different oracle decks and then clarifying with tarot cards. There are links in the description of this reading that will guide you to my website and social media channels where you can learn a little bit more about me and peruse my offerings. So I am a certified life coach, spiritual life coach. I'm a decolonized educator and practitioner, meaning I center the narratives, perspectives, and worldviews of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, but I work with everybody. I have shuffled the cards already, just giving the space a cleanse, and want to just reiterate that not every single aspect of this reading will resonate, and my guidance to you is to follow along and to take what resonates and to leave the rest for somebody else. This is a very new channel, so if you enjoy the reading, please show your reciprocity by giving it a thumbs up, a like, and subscribing if you'd like to receive more. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to my newsletter, a link for which will also be in the description of this box. So you can receive a whole load of spiritual goodness directly to your inbox. I send out a fortnightly newsletter, sharing offers, articles from the blog and website, insights, and mini card readings, playlists, all sorts of good stuff. So there's that. I'm going to start now by pulling from the oracle decks. I will show you the cards as I'm going. As I mentioned, I'm pulling from 3 different decks today and then clarifying with the tarot. I am a conduit for spirits, for the ancestors, and I work with the divine cosmic ancestral mothers who are the Yami Ajay from the Yoruba pantheon of West Africa. So today we will be asking them for guidance. Beloved Iyaz, what do the collective need to know? What insights, messages, and wisdom needs to be shared? I'm pulling first from the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck, which is an absolutely beautiful deck that I'm still getting to know. It's pretty dense and it weaves all sorts of cosmic wisdom together, being herbal history, the related astrological aspects, meaning the planets, the corresponding planets, as well as what the guidance of the herb pertains to. Right. What wisdom do the collectives, what messages, insights, beloved Iyaz, do the collective need to know? They're not talking. This is very strange. Very slow. Okay. Interesting. Wow. I'm going to keep going and give it another second because I prefer for my guides, there we go, to do the work, you know, to pick rather than me picking off the top, which is also fine. So we've got it's supposed to be 1 card per deck, but we have got 2 cards here, 2 beautiful cards. Wow. Oh, they're so lovely. I haven't received these cards before. So the first we have Chamomile, which is a gorgeous image of a sleeping woman in a bed of ox-eye daisies. This is incredible because I just learnt, and the sun is setting behind her there. You can see a beautiful stag and a little doe. Oh. And she is holding chamomile in her hand. And yeah, we see the sun setting in the valley towards the back with a little stream sort of petering through. The second is, so it's chamomile and it speaks to inner peace. The second card we received is number 23, which reduces to a 5. Numerologically, 5s pertain to change. Milk thistle. Peaceful warrior. I can already tell this is going to be quite a powerful and beautiful reading. These cards are just gorgeous. And yeah, they just have so much beautiful illustrated detail. I'm an intuitive artist myself. Pretty multifaceted and dynamic me, but like I said, you can learn a lot about me and the work that I do, my certifications, qualifications and background via all the links provided in the bio of this or the description box. So please do check it out, because this is a very new channel and I'm very excited to be here. I'm excited to have you here joining me for this reading. And I'm quite eager, obviously, to build community and to engage in community. And I've actually been sort of brainstorming ways to expand this channel. You know, I know it's new and it will take time, but I'm all about engagement. So we've got 2 cards again. Ooh, yes. You know, when I was shuffling the cards earlier, this card came flying out of my beloved animal spirit deck. I have been working with animal guides from day one, really, even before I understood my gifts. We have Panther. When the Panther card comes out, you know, yeah, gotta show them teeth. And then we have Firefly. Cute little firefly in the center of this warm solar plexus yellow there. So that was the animal spirit deck. And next we have the Starseed Oracle deck. Beloved ears, what wisdom, what guidance, what knowledge, what insights would you like the collective to know? Right, 1. We received 1 from this. All paths lead home. It says, inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. And this card, again, another really beautiful deck, speaks to, I really apologize, I based quite close to a police station, which leaves less to be desired. I don't know how that saying goes, but it's been a very crazy day. I actually put off recording this because the whole day has been pretty, there are loads of festivals happening around today, and of course happy Pride Month to everybody. Wishing you beautiful Pride to all my amazing, beautiful queer family. I hope that you are celebrating with pride and honor and standing up for all that you believe in, celebrating yourselves and your community, and standing in your truth and your power. So this card shows a woman within what I would call the word literally just escaped me. It'll come back. So she's facing what looks like a waterfall. It's a labyrinth. Don't know why the word just sort of disappeared from my head. I had it in my mind, and as soon as I was about to utter it, just had a bit of a mind blank. She's standing within a labyrinth, which you can see there, that's sort of, grid-like map of the labyrinth built with all the stones. But then you've also got some megaliths jutting up from the earth and what looks like a waterfall. But she's in an otherworldly sort of space. So if you just give me a moment to just have a brief meditation on the cards, just to channel the energy and the wisdom and the messages that want to come through. There's a little bit of contradiction here, but I love that. I say contradiction because interesting. Because the energy I'm receiving from the middle row, the animal spirit deck, is quite fiery. It's bold, high energy, possibly defensive, but then surrounded are more calm, peaceful, serene cards. What I'm receiving here is that you are at a point of surrendering to the cosmic flow of life. The first card, Milk Thistle, Peaceful Warrior, which I hope I showed, has a woman, a female figure with a badger on her head, peeking out of her headscarf. She's surrounded by milk thistle herbs, and she's holding a milk thistle that's sort of pouring milk, dripping milk. But her, oh yes, also her, not sure if I can show this on YouTube, but her chest is showing. Her chest is sort of exposed, and the milk is coming through. I'm really receiving, this is just speaking to me about motherly love and connecting to the mother within, right? Whether you are, this doesn't pertain to any gender, because we all have the ability to mother ourselves, right? So this is really speaking, the peaceful warrior. I am really sensing that you're at a time where you are guarding your inner peace, where you have learnt the value of surrendering to the flow of the cosmic web of life, to the cosmic algorithm, I should say. You are not pushing against the rhythm and the natural flow of order. You are leaning in to the season that you are in, the season that we are in collectively on this earthly realm, and you've learned how to cultivate peace within you, and in doing so, you understand the importance of nurturing yourself, right? Of leaning into self-care, of tending to yourself with gentility, with compassion, with love, with forgiveness. I'm really sensing here that you have been possibly through a time of hecticness, busyness, building, this could be work, this could be just general everyday life, this could be family life even. And you are now at a time where you're able to have some respite. And this is echoed again by the chamomile card here. And the girl that's sort of sleeping, she's she's just there. She has her eyes closed. I'm trying to figure out the best. Yeah, can you see? So she's got her eyes closed, and she is being guarded by this beautiful stag, and his doe, which is, a baby deer. So I'm really sensing into the fact that if you aren't within a family setting at the moment, as in, with a partner, with kids, that perhaps this is something that you've been thinking about recently, you've been meditating on, you've been calling in from spirit, perhaps you've been calling in your soulmates, perhaps you've been, feeling broody, perhaps you are at a time where the idea of finding your mate and having children is prevalent. Either way, with chamomile and inner peace coming out with the milk thistle and peaceful warrior, I'm really sensing into Empress energy here, into that highly fertile time of your life. And when I speak to fertility, I mean it in all fronts. Fertility means abundance, truly, when we think about it. It speaks to being rich with ideas. Obviously, it speaks biologically to being at a point where you are the perfect receptacle for nurturing a new life and bringing new life into the world. But like I said, you can be fertile with ideas. We birth projects, we birth music, we birth our artistic creativity. There are ways that we birth things other than physical children into the world. So these two cards are really speaking to a time. I'm speaking to someone who really understands the importance of cultivating and leaning into their inner sanctuary, right? You have cultivated a practice of being able to isolate, knowing when you are running on empty, knowing when you are at a point of a risk of burnout, and you've cultivated the ability to self-regulate. You've cultivated the ability to calm your nervous system. You know what works for you, be that meditation, lots of rest, self-care, leaning and harnessing the wisdom of Mother Nature herself. Perhaps you are using some of these herbs at the moment. But I'm sensing, there's a Empress, fertile, motherly energy. The Empress is also a giver. She's a nurturer. It comes innately to her. And perhaps you've been tending to those around you and not just yourself. Perhaps you have been tending to community. Perhaps you have been calling in your soul family, and what I'm speaking to there is, your home life. Perhaps you're at a stage where you are dreaming up and connecting, with the wisdom of the cosmos and the universe, and calling in your mate and soul, spirit baby, or babies. I say cultivating inner peace and knowing when to seclude yourself from the outside world, to, turn the volume down on the noise, so to speak. Perhaps you have been taking a little break from social media. You've just been tending to yourself in the way that a mother would. I'm sensing someone who has been doing a lot of inner work here, tending to their inner child wounds, healing perhaps, any issues from their childhood. This card is really speaking to me about doing that inner child work, reconciling wounds of the past, perhaps father wounds, I'm really, receiving a message that you are being watched over. You are being watched over by a father figure. And this could be an uncle, this could be your father, this could be an elder brother that you lost. But they are watching over you and have been for some time and guiding you to guiding you along your path to being able to harness this inner peace, being able to cultivate that sanctuary within us, right? Our sanctuaries are within us. It takes a lot of skill and practice to be able to self-regulate, our body, right? And our soma, knowing what works and what doesn't, right? Which could be a myriad of different things and techniques, right? From herbalism to just rest, to breath work, to yoga, to sound healing, whatever the modalities are, you have been experimenting, and you've been tending to your inner garden and your inner world, and you now know when to shut yourself away, when to retreat and to go inwards. And when you do, you guard it with your might. And I think this is why I'm understanding now this sort of contradiction that's kind of come up next, because Panther energy really speaks to forcefully asserting yourself. It speaks to standing in your power unapologetically, showing your teeth, not being afraid to show your teeth when you need to. And when I speak to showing your teeth, it's standing your ground, being relentless in pursuit of truth, in pursuit of justice, in pursuit of whatever it is that you're working towards, and not wavering, or bending until you are heard and seen. And this card really speaks to someone that does not require outward validation, right? That knows themselves. The Panther card comes out when we are either being challenged by authorities or those that feel that they know better than us, those that want to belittle us, those that are judging us perhaps, those that are wanting to sort of put us in our place, right? And the Panther comes out, the Panther energy speaks to the darkness, the mysticism of life. They are highly spiritual creatures. They are spoken to with reverence by indigenous people of many shamanic cultures. They are a shaman's spirit animal, right? They see through and beyond the veil. They are they have that penetrative ability to see in the dark, to see and to sense in the dark, meaning beyond the veil. But panthers also are fierce creatures and can be quite ferocious. But, this isn't in a violent sort of way. This, and it's not also necessarily always in a self-defensive way. It's more about just standing in your power, speaking truth to power in a situation. But I'm really sensing that this is in reverence, in relationship, in regard to guarding your peace, and standing in your power, guarding your peace against anything that remotely stands to diminish that sense of peace, that sense of inner security that you've cultivated. Any intrusion into that or diminishment of that energy that you've been able to cultivate. Because this energy, this Empress energy that I'm feeling here, hasn't come easy. We only get to Empress status when, I mean, if we're speaking in terms of the tarot deck here, when we have experienced every single cycle of that major arcana. We've been in every position. We've had to work our way from the page right up, right? You know, from the page right up and through every single suit as well. So you've had a myriad of life experiences. This isn't to say that in order to cultivate inner peace, we need to have been through a multitude of challenges, but I'm speaking specifically to the Empress energy that I'm receiving off this card. Someone that truly has done the work, that knows themselves because they have quite a balanced masculine and feminine, right? They know where their power lies. They know it lies within, and they are quite adept at practicing their boundaries. So really, this card speaks to the need to defend and assert your boundaries when needed, the need to guard your inner peace ferociously, as a means to keep yourself regulated and balanced. The Firefly also speaks to this to a certain degree, right? The Firefly speaks to high octane energy and perhaps a time where you are working on something creative. It speaks to having a spark of our imagination, of being fueled. But the thing about the Firefly is it is a kind of momentary burst of energy that kind of comes through. It doesn't last very long. So it's one of those energies that we kind of have to ride it. It's like being in flow, in a creative flow, having that burst of creative energy. Perhaps you've had writer's block or a creative block of some kind, and you are now leaning into your inner sanctuary. You've zoomed out. You've sort of sidestepped, the outside world. Perhaps you're on an inner retreat, let's say. You're going within. Perhaps you're going into hermit mode temporarily so that you can harness this creative energy, this solar plexus, which is the seat of the soul, which is where our passion lies, which is where our creativity comes from. It also speaks to sacral and solar plexus energy here. Is coming through. But our solar plexus is where our creativity lies, where those creative ideas come through and are birthed. It's the seat of the soul. It also speaks to that fertile energy that I was speaking to, that was coming off the first two cards, the mothering energy, the Empress energy. And I am sensing that you probably, I spoke to the fact that you are retreating, you are leaning into your inner sanctuary. Perhaps you've had a bit of a turbulent time or a very busy time. Perhaps you were coming to you're sort of coming down from a high octane sort of period where you've been giving a lot and you have been building something, working on something, whether that's your home. You've just been through a very sort of busy spell, and you are retreating to tend to yourself, to lean into self-care, self-nourishment, and you're guarding your peace, right? You're guarding your peace so that you can utilize this sacral solar plexus energy that's coming through, this burst of creative insights, this burst of, creative foresight. Perhaps you're building something. Perhaps you're a writer. I'm definitely speaking to someone that is creative, but, and that word spans a multiplicity of disciplines, right? All paths lead home, inner authority, intuition. Turn your gaze within. You're doing the right thing. This card is speaking to, going on a vision quest inwards, right? Vision quest traditionally, from cultures of the global south or indigenous cultures, traditional cultures, speak to heading out to find inspiration, to converse with Mother Nature and the spirits of the elementals, right? To seek the wisdom of the world. But we do this quest solo a lot of the time. And really, it speaks to the sanctuary of being alone on this mission to find your voice, to harness that creative energy, to charge up as well, to charge up within nature. So this is really sort of just echoing those first couple of cards there. The two columns of them, all paths lead home, inner authority and intuition. This is really speaking to trusting yourself, and also going on that inner quest of exploration and adventure and questioning, right? Knowing that you hold all the answers that you're seeking. So I'm sensing someone that's been through a really busy period that is going into hermit mode, that's sort of retreating inwards, perhaps because they are reaching the point of exhaustion. Perhaps they're almost at the point, or you're almost at the point of burnout, and you're having to really guard your peace. You're having to be very boundaried about your space and your time so that you can harness the bit of this creative burst that you can feel sort of bubbling up. The last card here from the Starseed Oracle is reassuring you that you're doing the right thing, that you are your inner authority, right? We often seek inspiration from outside. We often seek validation of our path, validation of our work, validation of, of ourselves from the outside world. But in order to really lean into your authentic voice. And when I speak to voice, I mean it in an artistic sense, right? Whether that is speaking or whether that is creating visual art, it's still your voice. Your inner sanctuary, this inner sanctuary that you've cultivated, this inner world that you've been tending to, is where that wisdom lies. So this inner retreat is going to lead you home. All paths lead home. So it doesn't matter whether you've been going on all sorts of tangents here. Perhaps you have been spinning a multitude of plates and you're now wanting to sort of zone in on one, right? And to really sort of focus. But you're getting acknowledgement here from the Iyas that are speaking to the fact that and you should follow your intuition, that you should lean into the wisdom that is coming up from within, and that you should not be fearful of taking this time to retreat, right? I mean, whether you're able to take a few days off work, or whether this is just at the weekend, or whether this is actually also being working to sort of cloak and guard your energy so that when you are working, you're still maintaining those boundaries, right? Not taking on additional work or extra work, being really guarded about the hour and structured about the hours that you're working, just mothering yourself. And when I speak to self-care, I mean it in all the senses, not what we do at the weekends or the evenings, running a bubble bath and, doing our nails. No, I'm speaking about meditation, yoga, eating well, tending to your diet, heading to the gym, going for a hike, spending time in nature, connecting with animals. So I'm pulling out some cards here. I'm going to try and get a tarot card for each of these cards. Iyas, ancestors and guides. Can I have a card for milk thistle? Yes, of course. The need for rest is prevalent. They're really sort of making this known. The Four of Swords here came out for milk thistle. Four Four of Swords speaks to a time of retreat, of rest, of meditation, of inner reflection, of solitude, of winding down. I mean, it can literally also mean literally sleeping. You need to catch up on some sleep. You need to have a couple of duvet days. You need to tend to your heart. I am really sensing, as it's come up on Milk Thistle, the mothering card there, speaking to that nurturing, that self-compassion, that Empress energy of being tender and loving and caring, and patient with yourself, right? To not rush this process. I'm really sensing someone that is trying to reboot themselves in some way. Like I said, you've been really busy. You have been spinning a multitude of plates. Whatever it is that you've been doing, know that you are being watched over by your loved ones on, I'm really getting that this could be a multitude of different guides for sure. A father figure, but perhaps even a pet of yours that is no longer with you. Our ancestors come in all forms, right? They're not just human forms. So they're speaking to that need for rest, that need for nurturing yourself, that need to listen to your inner, can I have a card? Inner promptings, your inner intuition. Can I have a card for chamomile, please? Can I have a card for chamomile? Wow. Okay, I'm just going to take the top one because a whole load came out, and we don't have enough time for 6 cards as clarification. But what was I saying? There she is, clarifying exactly what I read off these cards and what I was sensing into Empress. The Empress has come up for chamomile. The Empress, I mean, look, she's got the world as her, pregnant stomach. She's pregnant with fertility, she's attuned to nature. I love that it's specifically come up for the chamomile card here, as she's there sleeping within this valley. The sun is setting on a busy period, perhaps a challenging time. And I speak to challenge meaning you have been working, you've had your nose to the grindstone, you've really been giving whatever it is you've been doing, whether this is cultivating your home, tending to your children, or tending to whatever it is that you're birthing into being. And the need for rest, the need to mother yourself, the need to tend to your heart. These cards are also speaking to someone that has been doing some inner child work. Now, inner child work can be, it depends what it is that we're tending to. It can be quite challenging. It can be very emotional, right? If we're digging into childhood wounds, if we're looking at why it is that we are in a repeat cycle, perhaps, of almost burning ourselves out, and where that habit and conditioned tendency is rooted, and we're understanding that it might be tethered to a childhood wound. I'm seeing the stag here and this doe, and this could speak to perhaps also a father wound, even though the Empress is here. The need to heal some inner child wounds, or tending to the inner child, listening to what your inner child is wanting to say. Are you wearing yourself out doing, prioritizing, obviously, your career, your financial sort of needs and stability in life. But are you playing? Are you engaging in play? Are you connecting with Mother Nature? Are you tapping into that childlike sense of adventure, curiosity, naivety, that innocence that actually is the bedrock for creativity, right? That, when I speak to innocence, children are less judgmental of themselves, right? They live in the moment. They engage with their imaginations without ridiculing their own ideas. And this Empress energy combined with this chamomile card is really telling me that you are on the cusp of birthing something. You are fertile, you are abundant with ideas and creative energy. Perhaps you are also, this Empress energy card here paired also with the stag and the doe there is really speaking to someone perhaps who is really at an age and a time where they're calling in their mate, where they're wanting to actually procreate, get together with someone and, make some babies, which is so beautiful. So there's a multitude of things that you're perhaps dealing with, and these being collective messages, I'm speaking to a plethora of people here. Can we get a card for Panther? What does Panther have to say? So rest is paramount right now. Can we get a card for Firefly? Yes. Wow. This is so, well, 3 cards. I'm not going to take all of them, but just sense into what they're saying. I'm going to take the top one. We did have 7 of Pentacles, 5 of Cups, 10 of Wands, by the way, which is a bit of regret, loss, perhaps, mourning something, but also the need for something to end that's been a burden. You've been overworked. But the top card for Firefly is the 7 of Pentacles, echoed by the Knight of Pentacles, which came out for Panther, right? So we have Firefly and the 7 of Pentacles, and we have Panther and the Knight of Pentacles. So we'll start with Panther and the Knight of Pentacles. So we were speaking about, being ruthless in guarding your space and asserting your boundaries, really understanding the need to do that in all aspects of your life. And we don't have to do this. When I say ferocious, as in like, you're not taking no mess, no argument, you aren't this. There's no debate, right? You need some time of respite. You need some time to yourself. Perhaps you've been wearing yourself thin. Perhaps you've got, that milk thistle card, peaceful warrior, that mothering energy with the milk flowing from her breast. You're someone that is nurturing by nature. The Empress is here to echo that. You have been giving a lot to your community. This could be extended family, your immediate family, friends. It could speak to your local community within your within your occupation and your line of work, your field. This could be social, in terms of extended community, right? We're going through crazy times at the moment. So if you've been leaning into supporting folks, within the collective, kudos to you. But we can only tend to folks after we have also tended to ourselves. We also need to replenish our own cup. And this, Panther is really speaking to the need to be guarded at this time, right? To really assert your boundaries. Perhaps you've been giving too much. The Knight of Pentacles is just echoing that, standing in your integrity, right? Honoring your own needs at this time is an act of integrity. It also speaks to being consistent, rather than going high octane, do, sort of, turning up the volume on all of the tasks at hand, doing everything all at once, overburdening yourself. Slow and steady wins the race. Better to be slow, steady, and consistent, to show up charged, replenished, resourced, regulated, than, running half empty and being at risk of burning yourself out. And that really is, I think, is fully echoed by the Firefly card here and the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles speaks to investments. It speaks to tending to seeds, right? You're planting seeds, you're nourishing something. Perhaps you're starting something, you're building something from the ground. This could be a creative project. This could be a new business. Again, seeds could mean you perhaps you have just become a mother or a father or a parent, and you are juggling a multitude of things, right? Being a parent, becoming a parent's no easy feat, especially today in our hyper demanding world, right? And demanding on all sorts of levels, you know, financially, in terms of time. There just seems to be a lot less of it for some reason after you get to a certain age. And the Firefly, I spoke to that creative burst of solar plexus, sacral chakra energy, that creative insight, that sort of rising of your fertility, of abundance, the abundance of your ideas kind of coming to the surface, and that need to sorry, I'm losing my words today, to execute, right? And to do so not quickly, but because the Firefly is kind of, it's momentary energy, right? If we also think about fireflies, you know, they kind of shine a light at nighttime only, and by the time the sun's and it's getting right, you can't really see them. Doesn't mean that their lights are not still on, but it is a short-lived burst of energy. But it being paired with the Seven of Pentacles, when we think about seeds, right, and tending to seeds, investing in the nurturing of something new, cultivating something, it takes time, right? It takes time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of patience. But it also takes consistency. It also takes being disciplined with your time, with with the attention that you're giving this work, being methodical, perhaps. So patience is also needed. And I think, in a sense, this could be a sort of caution about the Firefly to not keep going in this cycle of leaning to that, cultivating that high octane energy, and then going full speed, wearing yourself out, having to rest. You know, like I said, slow and steady wins the race. Better to be tending to yourself consistently so that you can show up consistently, so you're not always exhausted, so you're not always leaning into burnout, and then you don't end up suffering that creative block, right? So it's actually speaking to the fact that this time is coming. You are all paths lead home. You're almost at the point where you are reaching execution, right? Or perhaps you have executed whatever it is that you're building. It's just a case of it's starting to bear fruit for you, because the Seven of Pentacles really does speak to sort of harnessing and cultivating patience, you know, taking the time to tend to that plant, to tend to that new idea, to whatever it is that you're wanting to seed, and being patient while its roots set in and it kind of bursts through the earth. It takes a while before it's going to bear fruit for you, but it eventually will. And the inner authority, all paths lead home card speaks to not giving up on your vision, right? Turning inwards at times of difficulty where you're feeling worn out. Interesting that it is clarified at the bottom of the deck here. We have the Hermit, which really sums up everything that I was saying about, leaning into tending to your inner soil, your inner landscape, your inner waters, communing with your spirits, going on an inner retreat or vision quest, right? To really sort of perhaps I'm sensing that someone has been spinning a multitude of plates, and perhaps it's time to relinquish some of the burdens that you have. Perhaps this is delegating, whether that is within your community, family, space, or at work. Delegating, relinquishing yourself of some of the tasks and obligations that you have, so that you can free yourself, not even just time to rest, but in order to harness our creative energy. I was talking about that childlike sensibility. We need to not only rest, tend to ourselves with care, and have, dedicate time and space to silence, right? So that we can hear our inner intuition. We can hear our inner child whispering those ideas. We can hear the voice of our higher selves and our ancestors, urging us to, look in that direction, to pick up that book that is going to trigger something within you, to ignite you with that idea. Full is what is clarifying the all paths lead home. Full speaks to taking a leap of faith. It speaks to that childlike energy. It speaks to, I say the childlike energy in that innocence is required to have faith, right? And when I speak to innocence, it speaks to relinquishing ourselves of those jaded thought patterns, that judgment. What if it goes wrong? What if I look stupid? Staying in a safety zone, staying within our comfort zone. Leap of faith requires us to trust in the unknown, to trust that our inner voice, our intuition, that higher self that is urging us to do something, that call to that thing, is our intuition, is our knowing, is the voice of spirit, our ancestors, our cosmic mothers. Why would they mislead us, right? Knowing that we have what it takes, right? If we're being called to something, and also taking the risk to try it out, right? Taking the risk, believing in yourself. The Fool really speaks to harnessing self-belief and trust, to working with your intuition, to taking a leap of faith in a new direction, or the direction that you're being called to. So I really feel that someone here has been doing too much, right? And perhaps it is time to really sort of let's go within to figure out what needs to go, what needs to be what needs to be relinquished. When I pulled the 7 of Pentacles for the Firefly, I mentioned that a couple of other cards came out, and they were the 5 of Cups and the 10 of Wands. The 5 of Cups speaks to regret, sadness, grief, loss, right? But it also speaks to focusing on the past and not looking at what is available to us in the present. The 10 of Wands speaks to burdens, being weighed down, having too much on our plate. It speaks to, having gone through a challenge and going through challenge, just being burdened by a multitude of things. And this could be financial burdens, familial burdens, our occupation and burdens, our personal burdens in accordance to what our immediate community, friendship groups, or whatever. But tens also speak to endings, and the 10 of Wands speaks to putting down the burdens. Like the 10 is the end. You're about to put some burdens down. You're about to relinquish yourself of some of this hardship. When I say hardship, it's making your life more difficult than it should be. And the Fool is here to say, take the leap of faith. Your heart is calling to something, right? This is why you are being called. It's interesting because it was my birthday week last week. Hello, Gemini gang, and happy birthday to you all. It runs through to, I think the 14th of June or the 19th. I should know this, but I'm an early Gemini. And I also was feeling pretty worn, tired, at the beginning of the week. So I had a very, very gentle week. And I too was reflecting on why it was that I was feeling so worn out and tired. I have been doing a lot. I'm a busy person, multifaceted, multidisciplinary doer, recovering workaholic who has a habit of overworking, overburdening myself, right? Of plunging myself, of starting multiple projects, and at times biting off more than I can chew. And I actually was put on a timeout by Spirit. It's so funny because I was going to start this message by sort of saying, I've been away for a week, but it's a relatively new channel. So I kind of thought there's no need to, kind of share that. I don't think a week is that significant for anybody really, but I've missed, doing these readings for folks here. And I was really sort of thinking, because I had a couple of days straight up just not doing a lot in bed, and that was my birthday gift to myself, having some time off just to sort of chill and really catch up on some self-care and speak to friends and etc. And too much information. But it went on for a little bit longer than I expected. The tiredness just didn't wear off. And in fact, it kind of set in. And I know my guides and I know Spirit well enough now to know when they kind of, I can't, this is all going to sound a bit woo here, but our guides in Spirit have the ability to not infiltrate our energy, but guide us to things that will perhaps sort of cause a chain reaction or domino effect that then sort of render us sort of lower energy. And this was kind of quite physical exhaustion, right? So I was like, this is Spirit putting me on a timeout. Spirit's like, you're gonna stay in bed for longer than one day. And, I cheat. I'm in bed, but I'm like writing posts on Instagram and all that kind of jazz. Anyway, I'm digressing here. But I'm really sensing that, and I did have to reflect on the fact, it came up. I was like, right, I've done it again, haven't I? Because I was thinking, why have I been put on this time out? I only meant to have a couple of days off, and then it turned out to almost be a week. And I was like, they're keeping me down here for a reason. And yes, it was a kind of telling off, look, you're back in this cycle. You keep doing this. This isn't productive in the longer term, right? That overworking, almost reaching burnout, having time off, is just not, sustainable for anybody, right? Maybe in your 20s, yeah? When basically you are just energy, high volume energy. We're always energy, but, it's kind of closer to the source because you've only been on the planet for a couple of decades. I'm really kind of going all over the place here. I hope you're enjoying my rants. But I'm sensing that you are being called to take a leap of faith. I've just shuffled and seen the Ten of Cups there. Yeah. Following your heart. Coming into a time. What is truly going to make you happy? I really think from personal experience, sometimes we overload ourselves in a purposeful way, right? I'll give myself an example. I've recently sort of changed track, or, I want to say expanded, right? Expanded in my outlook, my ontology, my belief system, my understanding of what healing actually is has grown. My spiritual beliefs and practices have also grown. I'm being quite a creative person, someone that is an autodidact. So I learn through doing, and I'm quite succinct at teaching myself new skills, right? Especially when I'm quite passionate about them, because I dedicate myself to it to, not necessarily to cultivate the skill, but because I enjoy doing it. I started reading cards for myself, not other people. And then it fell into, in fact, it's taken me a long while to get to this stage. It's been 4 years since I've been reading tarot now. And my guides had been urging me to set up a channel from, I don't know, the first year. And I just ignored the call. Same with the podcast. And then suddenly I'm at a place where I want to do it all. All of these things that they had been whispering into my ear to try to do over the last, good handful of years, about 5 years now. Some I tried out, others I didn't. And I've decided to go for it this year. I had quite a expansive medicine. I've been on a healing journey for some time. I'm an initiated and certified sacred medicine practitioner. This by no means is encouraging the use of psychedelic medicines but I work with plants and sacred fungi, but I'm not a herbalist, but I enjoy educating myself about herbs and know that they'll be a part of my toolkit and kind of are to a degree already on a personal note. I'm digressing. I ended my year with in a very ceremonial way, and really expanded, did some deep healing work, and confronted, some wounds and aspects of myself that I hadn't been able to get to because I had planned to have and structured some time off, right, to dedicate. Also, this was combined with attending ceremonies and ritual and having the opportunity to sort of shadow someone who had a sound healing practice, etc., etc. So it was a multitude of things, but I was really able to sort of, go on this sort of inner vision quest combined with outer ceremony. To cut a long story short, it really inspired me, right? And it sort of expanded my vision of what was possible for me in terms of my work. But it also made me realize what I had not been focusing on, right? For the last sort of 2 to 3 years, when I'd really sort of been working towards getting my MSc and certification in psychedelics to become a practitioner. My work was quite didactic and intellectual and digital fronted, less creative and less of the doing, less ceremonial to an extent. So I really started this year wanting to break away from that, not to, this isn't a complete pivot, but thinking about ways that I could expand, my offerings and my way of working to encompass some of these new passions and integrate some of these modalities that also served me, right, on my path that I truly believe in and know work, tarot being one of them. Hence, this saying yes to all the things that I'd previously kind of put on a back burner. But what I was forced to reflect on my birthday week was the fact that, and this isn't chastising, right? We have to lean into this with self-compassion. We don't berate our inner children, right? We don't yell at kids. And the reason I'm saying our inner children is because, I truly believe that our artistry, our creativity, that part of ourselves that births something into being that didn't exist before, really is rooted in our inner child, that childlike innocence, that sense of wonder, that curiousness, that seeing the possibility in the world is actually less from we tend to think it's probably just coming from our intellect, right? I actually think it's coming from a mixture of our higher selves, our intellect, and our inner child. This is pertaining to more creative things, right? Seeing this page here and the Page of Cups underneath it. Yeah, something new wants to be birthed, something new that really, really speaks to your inner child. So I think, this is what my guides were sort of guiding me to. They were like, you have overburdened yourself. Don't see this as a loss. letting some of these aspects go, whatever it is that I'm going to have to sort of maybe put on a back burner, because they were like, you're not going to be able to do all of these things succinctly if you are doing too much and you are overburdening yourself, right? And leaning back into workaholism, which, you know, left me with a chronic illness 7 years ago. This is turning into quite a big share. So I really feel that you are being guided to make some decisions. This respite, or respite, I should say, this temporary moment or time of retreat. And when I say temporary, this is more than just a day in bed or even a weekend. This is your weeknights, right? Of putting your notifications, turning your notifications off after work. Once you've shut down, turn them off. Let your friends know that you're not going to be able to take calls after, 8 p.m. So you can cook yourself an actual healthy meal. So you can go for a run, a brisk walk, yoga class, whatever floats your boat, and get to bed at a decent hour, not scrolling through your phone. And perhaps a couple of weeks of this is needed. The reason for this being that something is calling you. Something is calling you that you're hesitant about leaning into. Perhaps these other plates that you're spinning are safeguarding you financially, or this could be pertaining more to our ego sort of state, as in these things, whatever they are, whether they're professional or familial responsibilities or whatever, they're things that people expect you to do, right? They're things that fit this identity that you've built of yourself. They're expectations of others even, but your heart is calling for something else at the moment. And, you know, this Four of Swords here has a knitted heart. You know, you can see the strings there that are sort of then attached to some natural sewing needles. We call them in England. It speaks to listening into your heart. It speaks to cultivating quiet time, stillness, that's either via meditation or actual literal rest, time out, hermit energy, going on a vision quest so that you can hear your heart's longings. What is your heart actually calling for? Because that is what is wanting to be nurtured here. That is what is wanting to be sewn into a larger web. That is what Spirit is urging you to take a leap of faith on. And I'm sensing that this is something quite spiritual based. This is something that is also quite intricate and complex, right? So probably requires your focus. This is why I feel this is guidance from Spirit, sort of saying, perhaps you've got these other add-ons because you don't think this thing is substantial enough to sustain you consistently in the future. And Spirit's sort of saying, no, you're not seeing the full picture. You need to understand that patience is required, time is required to really sort of harness the wisdom of this idea, right? To root into it a little bit deeper, to spend time sort of cultivating it, to practice, to tend to it. You're being guided here to, I'm seeing these cards, and I'm just going to take the first few. I showed the Page of Wands, the Page of Cups, which is speaking to a new project, something that's going to sort of really sort of make your heart sing, something that's going to appeal to your childlike sensibilities, something that's going to enable you to utilize your creativity, your magic, something that's fun and is going to be really enjoyable, but is going to allow you to be admired by others. The Three of Pentacles speaks to creative collaborations, it speaks to teamwork, but it also speaks to people holding you in high regard for you sort of perhaps stepping into leadership of some kind. And I mean that in the, being a way shower. Perhaps you're going to do whatever it is that you're doing sort of differently. Everyone adds their own little bit of spice and their own secret sauce to whatever it is that they kind of put together, right? And Spirit is saying that you need to trust that you have what it takes. You have been stressing about something. I'm seeing here, you've been worried about, you've been stressed, you've been busy, you've been overworking, and you are exhausted. And I know I'm way more sort of catty. Our patience runs thin. We are on edge. We're probably overproducing cortisol, which can make us kind of stressed and tense. Cortisol also, overproduction of cortisol can lead to insomnia, which is lack of sleep because you're stressing, you're overthinking, you're worried. And then it's a vicious cycle because, then our nervous system becomes imbalanced because we're not getting enough sleep, etc. But it's looking like you are really in need of this respite, and taking the time to really listen to what is coming up for you, what your higher self is saying, connecting with your guides and spirits, going slow, is going to lead you to victory, which is what I'm seeing, underneath these cards here. We've got the Six of Wands. So I really hope that you receive something from that. That was quite a long reading. I didn't intend it to be. I enjoyed it. I hope that you did. This is a new channel, so feedback is welcomed, as long as we're being I welcome criticism as long as it's constructive, is what I want to say, right? This isn't a good vibes only, because I believe in, all the vibes to a certain extent, but we cultivate positivity here. So even though I'm welcoming comments and reflections, I'm not saying please make them nice, but perhaps if you didn't enjoy it, don't bother taking the time to like, subscribe, and don't say. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed reading for you today and hope that you'll be back for more, and look forward to perhaps engaging with you in another way via some of my other channels, which are all linked in the bio. Thanks for being here, and wishing you the best of luck.